Have you ever stopped to think about the signs around us? Those small details that, when added up, can lead us to deep reflections about the future. Imagine a world where ancient prophecies begin to make sense, where events that once seemed distant become a palpable reality. What would you do if you realized that the end times might be closer than ever? History is full of warnings and messages, but are we paying attention? Climate change, social conflicts, the division among people, could all of this be connected to something bigger? The Bible speaks of signs that precede the return of Christ, and these signs are intensifying. Are we living through these moments? Stay alert, because with each passing day, new events may illuminate the path we are on. Have you ever questioned your role in this scenario? Each of us has a responsibility and a calling. Let's explore these questions together and discover how we can prepare for the times to come. Get ready for a journey of reflection and discovery. Biblical prophecies about the end times. When we talk about biblical prophecies regarding the end times, it's impossible not to mention passages like Matthew 24, Revelation 6-18, and Daniel. These scriptures are frequently cited in discussions about the signs of the apocalypse. In Matthew 24, Jesus speaks about wars, famines, and earthquakes as signs that will precede the end. It's interesting to note how these words still resonate today, especially in a world where violence and natural disasters seem to be becoming more frequent. Bible scholars often revisit these passages, trying to understand what the end truly means. Additionally, the book of Daniel offers a unique perspective on the last days, with its enigmatic visions and symbols. It describes a series of events that many believe are already unfolding before our eyes. The interpretation of these texts is a field of ongoing debate. For some, the literalness of the prophecies is unquestionable, while others prefer a more symbolic approach. This diversity of opinions enriches the discussion but can also cause confusion. Another fascinating aspect of these prophecies is their impact on popular culture. Movies, books, and lectures often incorporate these ideas, shaping public perception of what might come. This is not just a matter of belief. It is a reflection on how spirituality and society intertwine. As people face crises and uncertainties, biblical prophecies gain new relevance, leading many to seek answers in ancient texts. While analyzing these passages, it's important to consider the historical context in which they were written. The authors of the Bible were responding to crises in their own communities. This historical connection helps to understand not only the texts, but also how they can be applied to contemporary situations. It's not uncommon for people to feel compelled to interpret these prophecies in light of current events, creating a bridge between the past and the present. Natural signs and disasters. When we talk about natural signs and disasters, we immediately think of phenomena like earthquakes, tsunamis, and climate change. These events have been associated with apocalyptic prophecies by many scholars and believers. The increase in the frequency and intensity of these natural disasters raises questions about the relationship between what is happening on Earth and the warnings found in the scriptures. For many, these signs are a wake-up call, an opportunity to reflect on the state of the world. Scientists have also been delving into these questions, trying to understand if there is a correlation between climate change and the frequency of natural disasters. Meanwhile, some religious groups see these phenomena as a fulfillment of biblical prophecies, generating an interesting debate about faith and science. This interaction between spirituality and reason is a crucial point in the discussion about the end times, as it shows how different perspectives can meet and diverge. Moreover, media coverage of natural disasters often highlights the urgency of climate issues. With rising global temperatures and sea levels, many feel increasingly insecure. This insecurity is fueled by apocalyptic narratives circulating in various media. Thus, the way we perceive these disasters can be influenced not only by reality, but also by our interpretation of prophecies. Natural disasters also have a significant social and cultural impact. Entire communities are devastated, and recovery can take years. This human suffering is a powerful reminder that prophecies are not just theoretical, they have real consequences in people's lives. Empathy and mutual support become essential in times of crisis, forming a bond between spirituality and social action. It is important to recognize that while many see these disasters as signs of the end times, others may interpret them differently. For some, they are opportunities for renewal and rebuilding. This duality in the interpretation of natural events invites us to a deeper dialogue about what it truly means to live in uncertain times and how we can spiritually prepare for what is to come. Global conflicts and wars. The rise of geopolitical tensions and the outbreak of wars are often cited as signs of the end times. Biblical texts mention conflicts as precursors to the apocalypse, and recent history shows us that these issues continue to be relevant. Each new global crisis, whether a civil war or a confrontation between nations, seems to reinforce this narrative. It's as if the prophecies are unfolding in real time, leading many to question the future of world peace. Furthermore, the way information about wars and conflicts is disseminated today also contributes to this perception. 24-hour news coverage, social media, and live broadcasts bring the reality of conflicts into our homes instantaneously. This proximity can intensify the feeling that we are living in apocalyptic times, making people seek answers in the scriptures. Interpreting the prophecies becomes a way of trying to understand what seems to be an increasingly chaotic scenario. Another aspect to consider is the psychological impact of global conflicts. The sense of insecurity that permeates society can lead people to seek refuge in religious beliefs or interpretations of sacred texts. Often, these interpretations offer not only an explanation for current events, but also hope that a better future is coming, even amidst so much turmoil. Conflicts also have a strong impact on international relations and global politics. The struggle for power, resources, and influence continues to shape the world stage. This dynamic is often reflected in the pages of the Bible, where battles and disputes between peoples are vividly portrayed. The relevance of these ancient texts becomes evident when analyzing contemporary wars, which often seem to repeat historical patterns. The discussion about wars and conflicts invites us to reflect on what we can do to promote peace. If indeed we are living in times that resemble the prophecies of the apocalypse, the responsibility of each of us becomes even more urgent. Hope and moral action can be the keys to transforming fear into compassion and division into unity, even in a world full of tensions and uncertainties. Growing iniquity and declining morality. Today, it is hard not to notice the growing iniquity permeating society. Corruption, for example, has become a common practice in many sectors, from government to large corporations. The devaluation of ethical and moral principles is evident in various spheres of life, raising profound questions about the direction humanity is taking. What was once considered unacceptable is now often treated as normal, causing an erosion of the values that once sustained social coexistence. Violence has also become a constant in daily news. Assaults, homicides, and abuses of all kinds are the order of the day, reflecting a society increasingly devoid of empathy and understanding. This increase in brutality is a disturbing sign that moral principles are deteriorating, and many believe this is directly linked to prophecies about the last days. The Bible mentions that, in the final times, the love of many will grow cold, and this is something clearly observed in people's behavior. Moreover, the influence of social media and the internet has contributed to the dissemination of ideologies that undermine traditional morality. What was once considered taboo is now glorified and promoted, creating a culture that values superficiality and hedonism. The lack of responsibility and the relentless pursuit of immediate pleasure have created a generation that, in many cases, does not care about the consequences of their actions. This is reflected not only in interpersonal relationships, but also in how people relate to spirituality. Additionally, the devaluation of family and social institutions has created an existential void in many people. The fragmentation of family relationships and the weakening of community ties have contributed to an increase in problems like depression and anxiety. In a society where ethical values are constantly challenged, it is understandable that many feel lost and directionless. The lack of a clear moral compass can lead to a vicious cycle of despair and iniquity. Reflecting on the growth of iniquity and declining morality should not be seen only as criticism, but as a call to action. Awareness that we are living in difficult times should motivate us to seek the truth and promote values that can reverse this trend. Being attentive to these signs can help us find a path of hope and moral renewal in a world that seems adrift. Religious movements and alternative beliefs. The emergence of cults and sects that stray from traditional Christian teachings is a phenomenon that deserves our attention. As society becomes more pluralistic, many people seek spirituality but do not always find satisfactory answers in established doctrines. This has created space for the proliferation of new beliefs that promise quick and easy solutions, but often stray from the fundamental principles of Christianity. These movements often attract followers with promises of prosperity, healing, and special revelations. People, often desperate for change in their lives, are easily seduced by messages that align with their desires. However, these teachings can be superficial and, in many cases, distort the essence of the Christian faith. The quest for authentic spiritual experiences can lead individuals on journeys that ultimately distance them from the truth. Additionally, the internet and social media have played a crucial role in spreading these alternative beliefs. With a click, one can access a myriad of information and new revelations that challenge Christian orthodoxy. This creates an environment of confusion where biblical truth can be easily manipulated to serve personal or financial interests. What was once a clear and simple message becomes a series of subjective interpretations that can leave believers disoriented. The relationship between these movements and the prophecies about the end times is a question that cannot be ignored. Many religious traditions warn about the rise of false prophets in the final days, and observing what is happening around us, it is hard not to make this connection. The proliferation of beliefs that distort the Christian message is a sign that we are living in critical times, where the truth is constantly challenged. It is essential that Christians be well-informed and grounded in their beliefs. Education and Bible study are fundamental tools for discerning between truth and falsehood. In a world full of voices clamoring for attention, the ability to identify what is genuine and what is deceptive can make all the difference in each person's spiritual journey. Technological signs and the digital age. Technology has advanced by leaps and bounds, and with it come new implications that can be seen as signs of the times. Global control of information, for example, is a reality that raises questions about freedom and privacy. With the rise of the digital age, the collection of personal data has become a common practice, and many wonder if this is a precursor to what biblical prophecies describe as the mark of the beast. The idea of a system that monitors and controls people's actions is no longer mere science fiction. Microchips, which were once just a technological innovation, are now being considered for use in various areas, from healthcare to security. The possibility of using a chip to identify and monitor individuals is a reality that many view with apprehension, especially in light of biblical passages that speak about the mark of the beast. This raises a series of ethical and moral questions about how far we are willing to go in the name of convenience and security. The interconnection provided by the internet also brings concerns about information manipulation. Social networks, which should be a space for interaction and exchange of ideas, often become stages for misinformation and polarization. The way information is disseminated can influence public perception and shape beliefs and behaviors, which is especially relevant in times when absolute truths are increasingly difficult to find. Furthermore, technology has the potential to create an environment where people become more isolated, even while being more connected than ever. Virtual interaction, though convenient, does not replace the depth of human relationships. This can lead to feelings of loneliness and disconnection, which in turn fuels the search for answers in places that can be dangerous or deceptive. It is crucial that individuals become aware of the implications of living in a digital age. Technology is a powerful tool, but like any tool, its use depends on the intention of the user. Discriminating between what is beneficial and what can be harmful is a skill we all must cultivate, especially in a world where the signs of the times are increasingly evident. The return of Israel and related prophecies. The return of Israel to its homeland is a subject that fascinates and intrigues many Bible scholars. Since the creation of the State of Israel in 1948, many see this as a fulfillment of Old Testament prophecies. Verses like Ezekiel 37, which speaks of the restoration of the people of Israel, gain new life in light of modern events. For many, the return of the Jews to the Promised Land is a clear sign that we are living in prophetic times, where the promises made by God to his people are being materialized. Moreover, Israel's presence on the global stage raises questions about its role in end-time prophecies. The constant tensions involving Israel and its neighbors, as well as international support and criticism the country receives, are seen as part of the divine plan. The Bible mentions that in the last days, nations will turn against Israel, and this narrative is recurrent in contemporary political discussions. Thus, the current geopolitical situation can be perceived as a continuation of the prophecies surrounding this nation. The importance of the reestablishment of the State of Israel is not limited to political events, but also to the spiritual aspect. Many Christians believe that the return of the Jews to their land is a sign that the coming of Christ is near. The return of Israel to its place of origin is often interpreted as a call to the church to prepare spiritually, reinforcing the idea that the time of waiting is running out. This perspective generates not only hope, but also a sense of urgency among the faithful. On the other hand, there are those who question Israel's role in the prophecies. Some argue that the literal interpretation of the scriptures can lead to misunderstandings about the relationship between God and his creation. They emphasize that true Israel can be understood more broadly, including all those who follow the teachings of Christ. This debate is healthy and necessary, as it challenges believers to deepen their understanding of the scriptures and reflect on what it means to be part of God's people. The return of Israel is a topic that generates fervent and varied discussions. For many, it is a clear and undeniable sign of the times we are living in, while others prefer a more symbolic and comprehensive approach. Regardless of perspective, it is undeniable that Israel's history continues to shape the biblical narrative and inspire hope and reflection among the faithful. The urgency of evangelization and spiritual preparation. As the signs of the end times intensify, the urgency of evangelization becomes increasingly evident. Many believe that it is the collective responsibility of all Christians to share the gospel message. Biblical passages like Matthew 28 verses 19 to 20, which commission us to go and make disciples of all nations, are often cited as a reminder that the task of evangelizing is not optional but essential. This task becomes even more crucial when considering the current state of the world. Spiritual preparation is also a recurring theme in discussions about the last days. The idea that we need to be ready for Christ's return generates a sense of urgency, leading many to seek a life of holiness and dedication. The practice of prayer, Bible study, and fellowship with other Christians gains prominence in this context. It is not just about individual preparation, but also collective, where the faith community comes together to strengthen each other on the spiritual journey. Moreover, the increase of iniquity and moral decay in today's society serves as a call to action. With so many distractions and challenges, Christians are encouraged to remain steadfast in faith and not be swayed by cultural currents. This may mean returning to the fundamentals of faith, where the Word of God is the foundation for decisions and actions. The urgency to evangelize becomes a reflection of the love and compassion that believers should feel for lost souls who do not yet know the truth. It is interesting to note that evangelization is not limited to words, but also actions. The Christian testimony must be lived out daily, showing others the love of Christ through attitudes and service to the community. Often, actions speak louder than words, and this is also part of spiritual preparation. By living in a way that reflects Jesus' teachings, Christians become channels of the gospel in practice. The need to intensify evangelization and spiritual preparation is a call that resonates in many hearts. As the signs of the times intensify, the responsibility to share the message of hope and salvation becomes more urgent than ever. For many, this is an opportunity to unite in prayer, action, and faith, preparing for the days ahead and seeking the transformation that only Christ can provide. And so, as we look at the signs around us, it is impossible not to reflect on what the Bible teaches us. What do these signs mean for our daily lives? Are we truly prepared for the times to come? Remember, each of us has a role to play in this great divine plan. What if you could delve even deeper? How about revisiting the biblical passages that speak about vigilance and preparation? How can you apply these teachings to your routine? Think about how you can share this message with friends and family. Time is precious, and the opportunities to spread God's word are infinite. Now, I want to know, what signs have you noticed around you? Have you ever stopped to think about how this impacts your faith? Leave your opinions in the comments. Let's build a strong community together, where we can grow and learn from each other. And don't forget to activate the notification bell to stay updated with everything we have prepared for you. The journey is just beginning, and God has much more to reveal. See you next time.